Next item is public hearings. We're looking at 2019-06-01, Loretta Boardwine, and I'm sorry, I gotta get my glasses in the right focus here. And Darren Rhodes Jr. request for a conditional use permit for private use camping. The property is located off of Rivermont Acres Road, identified on tax map 19F, section 1 as parcel 59 and zone residential 1. And I believe that's Mr. William.
That's correct.
All right.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the Planning Commission. Yes, Ms. Boardwine and Mr. Rhodes are requesting a permit for private use camping. This is a vacant lot located in the special flood hazard area. They'd like to be able to utilize their RV and camp primarily during the summer, spring and fall, and to allow their grandchildren to camp there also. They have been permitted to install electric hookup. They will be using a porta-john and staying on the property. The property currently has an old shed, which they have plans to remove, and they do not plan to install any additional structures. This property is located adjacent to EDA-owned lots and adjacent and across the river from the Aptech site. The rear of the property is a woodlands area. It is somewhat isolated. If the Planning Commission is to approve this conditional use permit, we will request the standard conditions with the exception of number 9. The existing shed shall be removed and retrofitted with flood vents and retrofitted with flood vents and anchoring within 30 days of approval of a conditional use permit. I will forward these conditions to our secretary. This public hearing has been properly advertised. Adjacent property owners have been notified. Ms. Boardwine had a medical emergency today and was unable to make the meeting. I did speak with her.
Sure.
And I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
All right. Thank you, sir. Anybody have any questions or comments at this moment? Could you please clarify the comment on the recommendations you were saying? I forget which one it was, to tell you the truth.
Number 9.
Number 9. Is that
Number 9.
Number 9. Could you please clarify that for us?
Sure. Conditional use permit establishes the lot as a recreational lot. In our code section 18016, once that lot is a recreational lot, it does allow the property owner to install with a building permit a 160 square foot shed or pavilion, that's what they want, for storage of maintenance and recreation equipment. Okay, that shed structure, if it has the solid walls, has to be anchored appropriately according to building code, and also have a minimum of 2 flood vents to allow wet floodproofing of the structure, essentially. Currently, the shed that they have is a pretty old, dilapidated shed, and I don't see where it would be worth them. I don't think it would be worth them to go ahead and permit it and try and get the vents and anchoring for this particular shed. I did not mention, but this property has had some history with them. They did have at one point in time kind of a brand new shed that was put on the property without permits, and actually somebody was living out of it. So a couple years back we cited them for that, and they removed the shed. So it has one shed. Does have a little bit of debris, and I'll talk to the applicants about that to make sure that the property stays clean as per the condition
Yeah.
in the permit.
All right, thank you. Anybody have any further questions before I open the public hearing? Very good. All right. Public hearing is now open. Does anyone wish to speak for or against this application? Seeing no one coming forward, we will close the public hearing. And we will take commission comments, questions, and further items, and I'll take a motion, either one.
Got one more or less just personal curiosity.
Sure.
Noticing in the photos, there's like an existing motorhome out there. Is that thing roadworthy?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I'm not sure if that's actually on their property. It was very close to it, and I took a picture from the road. When I went back out again, what it is, it's one of those kind that you put on the back of a pickup truck, this particular one, okay? So if the truck is roadworthy, it's roadworthy. Now, when I was out there the last time, they did have a RV camper that was pretty old, but it was a motorized camper on the property.
That's the photo that was.
Okay, so that's one. It looks marginal, but we'll make sure that it can be taken off the property. Joe and I, Mr. Petty and I will typically do a review, all the conditional use permits between November and February, do some site visits. We'll notify the applicants, the property owners that we're going to be doing this to give them an opportunity to remove it. So,
I'm trying to zoom in and look as I could on that, and I couldn't really tell if it had tags on it or not. It looked like it had been sitting there a while.
That is the reason why.
Kind of thinking, if it's not on their property, maybe the adjoining property owner's deed. There's a few down there that aren't in the greatest of condition, and then there's some that are pretty good in some of the other lots. We're working on them. Okay. Other than that, I'm fine.
Yeah, they sent letters.
I was going to say, if they pull that onto a state right of way, then it has to be meeting state standards as far as tags and inspections. And
the one good thing about Rivermont Acres, is there is an area to the other side of the road that they could pull it up and park it, that's at a higher elevation. It would probably be out of the floodplain.
Right.
Just temporary. And if they did that, that would be sufficient, I think, to meet the intent of the code. Certainly, in a case like this, I think these folks live downtown, down in the town of Front Royal, so they may or may not have a place to put it. But if they have an emergency egress plan, that's really what we're wanting to see, and that the fact that it can be moved, and we'll review that, we'll assess that when we do a site visit.
Right. Okay. Thank you,
That's
sir.
all I got.
Any other questions, comments at this time? I'll take a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Planning Commission forward this application to the Board of Supervisors with a recommendation to approve the conditional use permit request of Loretta, Boardwine, and Darren K. Rhodes Jr. for private use camping with the conditions as recommended by staff.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other comments, questions, concerns? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next item is commission matters. And, we'll roll right into commission members. Mr. Rinaldi, do you have anything for us this evening?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I was thinking that perhaps you should start at the other end this time, because you always start with me.
All right, cancel that.
No, I don't
No,
have
that
any.
messes me up now, because I'm so used to the names right now. So what's her name down there?
Yeah. I don't have anything, thank you.
Mr. Henry, do you have anything? See, you have me off track now. Mr. Henry, do you have anything?
Oh, yeah, a little bit. Oh, I have been, I guess I'm guilty of association, being on planning commission as part of the county, even though I don't make these kind of decisions. But boy, I've got a pretty good earful over 619 again. They did pave part of Airport Road, and it needed paving too. And they did some patchwork on 619. And the road still, they made numerous calls. They say this thing's slotted for resurfacing in 2020, but I sure would have got a lot less earful if they'd have done 619 being just so much more heavily traveled than Airport Road. And then, in fact, there's been some push for a petition to try to see if they could get it moved up. I don't know how that'll work out for everybody. And then in the same area too, the tree trimming is horrendous. I busted one windshield, one piece of equipment myself, and so is another contractor. Trimming's gotten, I guess it was so wet last year, we've had such a tremendous growth season, it's probably magnified it for them, but literally it's grown in so shut that I have to move to the center of the road to keep from beating the mirrors and stuff off the bigger trucks. And then consequently, when I meet somebody, you know, if I get to my side, then I'm trimming the trees for them, so to speak, so I have to kind of stop and you get caught off guard and you kind of get in your lane where you're supposed to be, and then you damage your vehicle. So I just thought it was worth mentioning, being I've got such an earful, I figured I would share that with the rest of my commission.
All right.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. So I'm going from the other way, so
So it's you now.
Say nothing.
I know, y'all are messing me up.
I say nothing.
You messed
You
yourself
got
up.
nothing? Mr. Henry, I'm good.
I've got nothing to talk.
All right,
Mr. Chairman, I've nothing to report today.
Oh, are you serious after all that garbage? You got me nothing? Come on, give me something. So, all right, so. You gotta love it. All right. County Attorney, Mr., where's he at? I can't even see him right now.
It's Mr. Whitten.
I know, I can't even see you down there. You're on vacation, so it's hard to tell if you're back or
I
not.
know, sorry, I've been gone a while, so I missed y'all last month. I was playing with the alligators down at the island, so.
Exactly, I hope you had a good
biking around them.
vacation.
Yeah, it was nice to get away for a week. And let's see, just an update on the Salahi matter. We're still trying to file an injunction to shut down a short-term rental. He's objected to our service. We have a hearing on his motion to quash the service in August. And then at that point, we're going to set it for trial. But it's interesting, he actually, his property manager submitted a check today to pay transient taxes on a long-term rental, which there's no such thing. You only have transient taxes on a short-term rental.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if that was a ploy for us to accept a check saying it was a long-term rental, not short-term, but I told the treasurer to send the check back and say, needs to say something a little different in the memo line.
Yeah.
So we're still trying to shut that down. I get a lot of complaints from the neighbors about the shenanigans up there. Let's see, other than that, I can't think of any other, the new proffer laws went into effect July 1st, which is good because it's a lot easier now to negotiate with developers and their attorneys regarding rezonings.
It is easier?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep, because now
We can discuss them actually.
it used to be that if you even suggested an unreasonable proffer, it could end up in a lawsuit. Now you have to require an unreasonable proffer. And so that has made it a lot easier for us to have negotiations. And they've allowed more proffers as well. So kind of expand the scope for what the developers can offer. And so, for instance, like Crooked Run, they could choose to go under the new proffer laws. So that would be advantageous to the county because now we can have more discussions with them. So, and maybe Darren can update on that, where things are with that. But that's everything I have, unless there are any questions.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Ms. Logan, Planning Director.
I put a revised comprehensive plan schedule at your desk, starting tonight with chapter 3, and I've started with kind of the, probably the easier chapters that need less updating. And then I've gone through the end of next year. So I've allowed about 2 months per chapter, some overlap a little. And then Planning Commission public hearing would be late summer next year. And then the Board of Supervisors public hearing the end of next year. So this can be tweaked. We may go faster, may go slower, but at least we have something that shows what chapters we need to update and what all we need to do. And then we had, through June, we had 67 new homes in the town and county. 55 of those were in the county and 12 of those were in the town limits. And we had, their Taco Bell has started out at Rivermont Common Shopping Center. And Crooked Run West, they came, the applicant came to the Board of Supervisors in June at a work session to present to them. And they basically presented about their revised proffer statement, and then they submitted that the following week. So I've sent that out for comments to VDOT and County Administration to get comments back on that. And they've had a meeting with VDOT to kind of re-scope the project, and they are conducting a new traffic impact analysis. So that'll be several months, I would think, for them to get the analysis done and then for VDOT to review. And then they would have a public hearing at the Board of Supervisors level.
No hearing scheduled yet, though.
No, sir.
Yeah, nothing's,
So they're still working out the traffic impact with VDOT.
Right.
And that's about all I have. If you have any questions, happy to answer them.
All right, thank you. Anything from planning staff?
Yeah, I just mentioned, I'm doing a follow-up with the community outreach, and sending notice of inspections out to approximately 50 people who, property owners who we observe their property during the FEMA visit. Some of these are clear violations, but we're going to work with the property owners as best we can about permitting some structures that were put there. Some have to do with camping, various items. So, as I said, it's a community outreach. We're trying to get people to cooperate with us. And I'll let Joe discuss a little bit where we are with a couple of the property owners. And then also I attended a Virginia Floodplain Managers Association hosted meeting. Actually, it was hosted by FEMA also, and the Department of DCR for elevation certificates and filling them out appropriately. So I'd be glad to help, any of the surveys, local surveyors or anything, if they want to interpret some of those elevation certificates and whatnot, we can work with them. Currently, I just basically am supposed to review them. They're supposed to do them, but I'd be glad to help them out if they have any issues.
Yeah.
But that's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thanks, sir. Petty.
So as Matt mentioned, we're working on this community outreach for the floodplain. Bugging Dan and Caitlin's office a lot, have a lot of questions. We'll probably end up keeping the BZA a little bit busier with some of these permits to get them moved forward. We do have another BZA appeal August 1st from a determination similar to the floodplain. I recently wrapped up the Chamber Leadership Program here for Warren County. I think it was the best class they ever had. I think that's what I heard. And I also attended VASO training for the state. And hopefully, if everything goes well, I will pass my test in September, and then I'll be a certified zoning administrator at that point. Other things, we're also still looking at different text changes in the zoning ordinance, so we might see some more of those come in front of you guys. We just recently did the CUP. We want to look at the kennel, signage, lighting, a lot of those different ones, so we'll start working on those. That's it.
Thank you, sir. Anybody,
Mr. Chairman.
Project, anybody have anything else? Yes, ma'am.
I did. Real quick, Evan Fox is in the audience. He is interning with us this summer, And we had an intern with our office last summer as well, so we're happy to have him back. And he's been helping us with planning and zoning and with Emma in the GIS area as well. And effective June 1st, Emma was promoted to GIS coordinator because since we lost our GIS administrator to Arlington, we hadn't backfilled that position. And she's our GIS technician, so with her being promoted to GIS coordinator, she's just handling all of it, and she's doing great. And effective July 1st, Joe has been promoted to zoning administrator. So he's pretty much been doing that anyway for a while. But he's already started handling the BCA, so that's one of the main responsibilities. So, and another responsibility will be handling the zoning ordinance amendments. And there's kind of a lot of those that need to occur because some of the areas are kind of outdated. But,
Congratulations, I guess.
Taryn, how long was the fellow that, what'd you call it, the G? What?
GIS administrator.
How long was he employed by the county?
It was about 5 years.
5 years.
Okay.
So that's kind of typical of what's happening in these municipalities, smaller municipalities. These folks get kind of trained and up to speed, and then they leave to go to a higher paying county.
So that's,
In planning in our office, we have a small department, and we haven't really seen that. He definitely did get a better paying job in Arlington, and he doesn't, mind commuting, so.
that's Doug Sexton, right? Yeah.
So
I stayed here for y'all after being trained here. So.
I've been here for a very long time.
We're glad of that.
Dan and Darren are still here. Just for the record, Dan and Darren are still here.
I haven't seen that in the planning department, but
But Doug went on to something that was better for him, so to
yes,
speak.
yes.
He still lives in the county though.
But I'd already say, does he's commuting, it sounded like, so he's still here, but he's,
Arlington, yeah.
that's a haul.
Yeah.
Well, for him, maybe it's your perspective, and so maybe for him it's a haul, but whatever. Well, good for him. And when did that happen again? I'm sorry.
That was in January.
January, okay.
Yeah, it's been a while.
So it's been a few months, yeah.
Behind the times.
It's been a few months, yeah. It's been a few months.
But Emma, she has been doing a great job.
I'm sure, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I guarantee you, but that's good. Well, good for him and good for everybody, so maybe it'll all come together, that's good. Anybody have any other questions, comments, concerns? All right, the only thing I got to bring up is today is Mr. Henry's birthday. Yeah, he's already grumbling. Today's Mr. Henry's birthday, and on the 22nd is Mr. Rinaldi's birthday, so we just want to say happy birthday to everybody that's got birthdays in July, I guess, so.
Happy birthday.
July's a great month right here.
July, yeah, that's right, say,
We thought June was.
two out of three think that, so. I'm November, so whatever, but whatever. Anyways, hope you'll have a wonderful birthday. Hope you had a good day today, sir, and enjoy it. And we appreciate all your help. Does anybody have anything else? Questions, concerns, comments?
Motion to adjourn.
Can I be fired? Okay, motion to adjourn.
Second.
Got a motion second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries.